let's dive deep into Friedrich Nietzsche, specifically Beyond Good and Evil. This work, I mean, it really shakes things up when it comes to how we think about morality.
Oh, yeah. It definitely still has that power, even after all this time, to kind of make you shift uncomfortably in your seat. It makes you face those kind of hard truths about us as people and the world we've created.
Right. So Nietzsche was writing when, traditional morality was king, like rooted in religion, seen as absolute truth. And he had the nerve to question that, to suggest that these ideas of good and evil, well, maybe they weren't so set in stone as everyone thought.
He saw them as constructs, often ways to keep power structures going, to hold back individual freedom. It's like he's saying, hey, don't just blindly accept what you've been told. Look closer, examine where these values come from and who they truly benefit.
And that leads into slave morality versus master morality, right? Reflecting different power dynamics.
Exactly. So slave morality is all about humility, obedience, self-denial. Nietzsche saw that as a way for the less powerful to cope, to find meaning while being controlled. It comes from resentment, a reaction against those in charge.
While master morality embraces strength, ambition, that drive to excel, it doesn't need external validation, creates its own values based on its own internal compass.
And it's not about brutality or cruelty, although some might interpret it that way, but really it's self-mastery, pushing past limits, embracing your full potential. And that drive, that fire within, that brings us to one of Nietzsche's most important ideas, the will to power.
And that's so different from a lot of philosophy at the time, which was all about achieving happiness, avoiding pain. Nietzsche flips the script. He says what truly motivates us, what drives our actions, is something deeper, this will to power.
Yeah. It pushes us to overcome challenges, to constantly strive for growth, self-actualization. It's reaching beyond just comfort and security. It's about embracing the struggle and finding fulfillment in pushing ourselves to be our best.
So it's not about dominating others, right? It's about mastering yourself, your impulses, your fears. It's about taking that energy and using it to become the author of your own life.
Think of it like an artist battling creative block, They push through frustration, self-doubt to bring their vision to life, or an entrepreneur taking risks, leaving their comfort zone to build something new. That's the will to power in action, the drive to create, to overcome, to achieve.
And that brings us to a really interesting and often misunderstood concept, the Ubermensch, the overman.
Yeah, and it's not about some superhuman being or genetic superiority, despite what some interpretations have tried to claim. The Ubermensch is an ideal, a philosophical model representing the fullest realization of human potential.
So an individual who's transcended the limits of conventional morality, who has the courage to make their own values and live life on their own terms.
It's not about tossing out all ethics, no. It's about examining the values we inherit, deciding for ourselves what rings true, what aligns with our own internal compass.
And the Ubermensch, they embody this will to power, this drive to become their best selves, not bound by the expectations of the crowd. They forge their own path, guided by their own sense of what's noble, what's meaningful.
It's a powerful image, one that makes us consider how we can embody this spirit of the Übermensch in our own lives. How do we break free from limiting beliefs, societal pressures, to truly become the authors of our own destinies?
And this questioning of traditional morality, this call for individual empowerment, it leads Nietzsche to one of his most, well, let's say, provocative statements. God is dead.
And it's not that he's advocating atheism or saying there's no higher power. It's a statement about how beliefs are changing, especially in the West.
He saw the decline of religious authority as inevitable, a natural result of secularism, the growing influence of science, the old ways of finding meaning. They were losing their hold.
And that creates what Nietzsche calls a moral vacuum. Old rules are crumbling, the traditional anchors of morality are loosening. We're left to figure out the implications of this new landscape.
It's a time of danger, but also possibility. Danger in the potential for chaos, for nihilism where nothing has value. But the exciting part, it opens the door for individual creation, for forging our own values, finding meaning on our own terms.
It's a big task, this responsibility for defining our own moral compass. But it's also incredibly empowering. It puts us in the driver's seat to navigate the complexity of life with intention and authenticity.
Right. We're not bound by a preset list of rules anymore. We have the freedom to define what's good, what's meaningful. But with that freedom, Yeah, comes the weight of responsibility to think carefully about our choices and their consequences.
And that's where things get really interesting, because navigating this new landscape, this world without the old moral guardrails, it requires a different kind of courage.
It requires critical thinking, self-awareness, willingness to confront the hard truths about ourselves and the world around us.
It's a journey of self-discovery, a path leading us beyond the comfort of the herd and into the uncharted territory of individual responsibility and self-creation.
And that's really just the start of our exploration. We've barely scratched the surface of Nietzsche's thought. So much more to uncover, so much more to wrestle with.
Absolutely. We still have to delve into his warnings about herd mentality and explore how all this connects to living authentically in a world that's constantly trying to define us.
So get ready, fellow deep divers. This journey into Nietzsche's philosophy, it's far from over.
This whole death of God thing and that moral vacuum it creates, it brings us to another big concern of Nietzsche's, the danger of what he calls herd mentality.
Yeah, it's amazing how he picked up on that human tendency, right? To conform, to just follow the crowd, even when we might know better. He saw it as something that could stifle creativity, hold us back from reaching our full potential.
He saw how easily we can be swayed by popular opinion, that pressure to fit in, not stand out. Like we're scared of thinking for ourselves, so we hand over our individuality to the group.
And that pressure to conform, that fear of being different, it's even stronger today, I think. With all the information overload, the influence of social media, it's so easy to just get swept up in trends, to adopt opinions and beliefs without really examining them.
Nietzsche was way ahead of his time, spotting that danger. He was warning us about that allure of the easy path, the comfort of blending in. He was urging us to resist it, to dare to think for ourselves, to challenge the status quo.
It's like he's saying, don't let the noise of the crowd drown out your own inner voice. You've got a unique perspective, unique experiences. Don't waste that trying to be a copy of everyone else.
Exactly. He's calling us to be critical thinkers, to be more careful about the information we take in, the influences we let into our lives. It's about questioning everything, not in a cynical way, but with a genuine desire to understand, to peel back the layers and come to our own conclusions.
And that ties in so well with that overarching theme of authenticity that runs through all his work, right?
Right.
It's not just about tearing down traditional morality to be rebellious. It's about prompting us to examine what we believe, to let go of what's not serving us, and to create a life that's truly our own.
He wants us to live consciously with intention, to make choices that line up with our values, even if those choices go against the grain, even if they challenge what the herd expects.
It's about embracing the messiness of life, acknowledging the good and the bad, and finding meaning in it all, facing the abyss, without flinching, without looking for comfort in easy answers or prepackaged ideologies.
And that takes courage, that willingness to stand alone, to accept the uncertainty of making your own path. It's not easy, but the rewards are huge.
Because when we're authentic, when we're true to ourselves, we tap into a level of freedom and fulfillment that just isn't possible when we're trying to fit into someone else's mold, right?
Absolutely. We become the authors of our own stories, the creators of our own meaning. And that's what makes Nietzsche's philosophy so powerful, so relevant. It's not just ideas, it's a call to action, an invitation to live a more meaningful, more fulfilling life.
It's about being the best versions of ourselves, not by following some external standard, but by embracing our individuality and living according to our own internal compass.
And that journey, that self-discovery, that self-creation, it's different for everyone. There's no one right answer, no set path. It's about asking ourselves those tough questions, challenging what we assume to be true, and always striving to grow, to evolve.
It's about pushing past our limits, recognizing our strengths and weaknesses, and becoming the architects of our own destinies.
And that's the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy, a challenge, an invitation, and ultimately a celebration of what the human spirit can do, that capacity for growth, for resilience, for self-creation.
What's really inspiring is how these ideas, written so long ago, they still resonate so strongly today.
That's because they speak to something fundamental about being human, right? That desire for meaning, for purpose, for a life that's both authentic and fulfilling.
He helps us see that we're not just, passive bystanders. We have the power to shape our reality, to create our own values, to live lives that reflect our own unique vision of what's possible. It's like he saw these challenges coming, this pressure to conform, the information overload, the struggle to find meaning in it all.
Yeah, he got that. True freedom, he said, isn't just about rejecting all limits. It's about, well, having the self-awareness, the courage to choose the constraints that work for us, the values that truly resonate, and letting go of the ones holding us back.
Which brings us back to that Ubermensch idea. It's not about being superhuman, but reaching a level of self-realization, becoming, like you said, architects of our own lives.
Right, recognizing that, like Nietzsche said, God is dead. Not literally, but as an acknowledgement that the old ways of finding meaning, they just don't cut it anymore. We have to create our own values, forge our own paths.
Daunting, sure, but also incredibly liberating. We get to choose what we believe in, what we aim for, what kind of impact we want to have.
And that means we got to be more than just passive consumers, right? We need to be active creators, critical thinkers, people willing to question, to challenge, to explore.
That really connects with that will to power, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Channeling that drive, that desire to grow, to become our best selves, and using it to build a life that's both meaningful and true to who we are.
Exactly. True strength, it's not about dominating others. It's about mastering ourselves, our fears, our doubts, those limiting beliefs.
It's about pushing past our comfort zones, embracing the tough stuff that life throws at us, and using those experiences to learn and grow.
And it's a journey that, well, it forces us to face those uncomfortable truths about ourselves, about the world. Not always fun, I'll admit, but it's in those moments of struggle, those times when we're questioning everything, that we can really discover who we are.
Nietzsche reminds us that we're not just, molded by our circumstances. We're active participants in shaping our own reality.
Yeah.
We can choose our values, define our purpose, create a life that reflects what we believe is possible.
And that's what keeps his work so relevant, so inspiring, so challenging. He doesn't give us the easy answers. He pushes us to ask the tough questions, confront our limits, and embrace that freedom, that exhilarating, sometimes terrifying freedom of forging our own path.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into Nietzsche, I think what we're left with is this. We have a choice. We can passively accept the world as is, or we can actively engage with it, question it, challenge it, and try to shape it into something more in line with our own values, our own aspirations.
It's a call to action, an invitation to step outside the confines of the herd and embrace the fullness of our individuality, to be more than just consumers, to be creators of meaning and purpose.
And on that note, we'll leave you to think about these ideas, explore them further on your own. This deep dive, it's just the beginning of a journey, and hopefully one that'll continue to unfold for you in your own way.